Let's talk about poop. It's something we all do it, but we don't want to talk about it. Without going into too much detail, let me tell you something that I've discovered recently. So I'm not saying that I've discovered something new that nobody ever knew about it, but this might be something that a lot of people don't know about. And it completely changed how I store my poop in my van. Poop is something that we all do, right? It's a biological necessity. We all go through the same process. We eat food and then we have to expel the stuff that does not get digested. So we all go through the same thing. But for those of us living in vans, specifically, we go through a different process than most people. Most people live in a house, or some have an RV with a toilet, and when you are done pooping, you just press the button and you flush. But when you live in a van like me, and you don't have a flushable toilet or any toilet of any kind, and all you have is a poop bucket with a luggable lid, what do you do? What do you do with the poop once you are done pooping? Well, if you live in a city or you urban camp like I do, there's always a garbage can, there's always somewhere you can go to and just tie up your little bag and just throw it away. But what if for some reason you have to stay in a van for 1, 2, 3 days and you can't throw your poop away, there's no way to do it legally? What do? Well, some people use cat litter. I've tried cat litter. It works somewhat, but you still get a smell after a few hours if I have to leave it in the van for some reason. And I double bag it, okay? I just don't use one bag, I double bag it. And even with the cat litter, it still smells a little bit. Now, I also tried odor ban, and this does not help too much. You still get an odor from the poop. So if I use this or if I use the cat litter, it's best that I throw it away as soon as possible. If I leave it in the van too long, I start getting a smell in the van, and it's not very pleasant. I do have those vents up there that I can open them and turn them on, but it's not very pleasant. Alright, so what's the solution? How do you store poop in your bags inside the van without smelling? Well, that's something that each one of us has to experiment for himself. I can tell you what I do, I can tell you how I do it, but it may not work for you, or you may not even want to try it. And if you are one of those people that say, ooh, pooping in my van, no way, there's no way I ever going to do that. Well, I felt exactly like you do when I first started living in my van. There was no way I was going to poop in my van, and I put it off and I put it off for as long as I could. And then eventually the day came that I had to do it, and I did it. And almost from that point forward, I never want to go anywhere else. I rather do it in my own home than goes to some filthy, disgusting public toilet. All right, so what is it that I use that allows me to leave my poop bag in a van for an extended period of time? Very simple. I just happen to have this bleach in the van, and I use the bleach to disinfect certain containers. All right, we are talking about poop, so I might as well say it. The pee container, I put a little bit of bleach in there and shake it about, and no smell of pee whatsoever, and it's completely disinfected. This bleach happens to be concentrated. It says it's concentrated. Some containers say it's 10 times, 5 times, whatever. This one just says it's concentrated. So I had the bleach, and then one day I just decided, you know what? Let me just put a little bleach in there to see what happens. And I put a little bleach in there. I closed the bag, tied it up, and then I had to leave it in the van for a few hours, and it wasn't smelling. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to leave it overnight, and no smell whatsoever. There's been a few days that I had to be in a van because of the weather, this and that, for a couple days. And I had a bag in my van for a couple days, and I tie it up and I leave it inside the bucket. And I smelled nothing. I put my nose right in there, and I could not smell a whiff of any bad odor whatsoever. And you don't need much. You just need just a little bit. I use maybe, I don't know, quarter cup, maybe less than that, just a little. I'm not going to pour it now, but I just use just a little bit. And then you close the bag, and that's it. But here's where it gets tricky, okay? Be very, very, very careful. Bleach is extremely dangerous. Extremely. You should know that already. If you don't know that, be extremely careful. I know it's dangerous. You know it's dangerous. And the other day, I put the bleach in my bag like I do, and I started going down like this, right, to remove the air from the bag, leaving just what's in here. There's nothing in here right now, but, and then I started closing the bag like this, and then I go around to make a knot. Well, I usually keep my face away from the bag, okay, because you don't want to breathe those vapors. For some reason, somehow, I must have had my face right where that plume of stuff, that stuff from the bleach, that vapor. And I must have had my face right underneath it, because the next thing I know, I'm like, and I couldn't breathe. I didn't even smell it. I didn't even taste it. I didn't even feel it until it was inside my lungs. And for like a couple seconds, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't bring air inside my lungs, and I couldn't expel. And then finally, I tried to turn these vents on to get some fresh air, and that wasn't enough. So I run into the front cabin. I opened the door, and then I got some fresh air, and I started to breathe okay again. So be very careful with that. Bleach will work. You will not have any smell in a van whatsoever. If you do it properly, if you put it in a bag, you close your bag, right? Go all the way down, and then just tie it like that. Tie a knot, put it inside another bag. But if you have a vent, turn the vent on, go like this, and let this exit right out the vent as the vent pulls the air out. And keep your face away from, this is what I do now. I keep my face away, I do this, I even close my mouth, and I hold my breath. And I don't have any more problems. But if you think you may have a problem, don't do it. If you are allergic to bleach, don't do it. And if you don't live in a van like me, if you have an RV, you don't have to do it. If you have a Class B RV, you don't have to do it. You probably have your flushable toilet. But if you have to do it in a bag, inside a bucket, then this will work for you. Well, at least it has worked for me. So there's my tip. If you have to go in a bag and you have to leave this bag in your van for a few hours, a day, or 2 days, whatever, put a little bleach in it. No smell. Zero. This really works.